I do have the honor of introducing the Honourable Minister Nate Horner. He is the MLA for Drumheller-Stettler. He is a rancher. Strong supporter of this summit. I cannot tell you how what that means and just how strongly supportive of this summit, and really the School of Public Policy and the University of Calgary are extremely grateful for that support. And indeed, at our first news conference, he stressed the need for collaboration to solve the economic challenges, and we look forward to being a big part of that. I think I said this morning that this summit is actually the launch of what we are planning, a year-long productivity initiative that we will be taking across the country. Alberta has some good stories to tell and some good and some important contributions to that. And so we at the School of Public Policy are very much looking forward to that continued collaboration. Please join me in welcoming our Minister of Finance and the President of Treasury Board, Minister Nate Horner.
Thank you very much, Martha. I have to say I really enjoyed that last panel. I look forward to being a candid, retired politician. That looked like a lot of fun. But I do take your advice, and I would say that when we began thinking about this summit, it was truly because of maybe frustration, but a desire to show some leadership in this space. I know I have many provincial finance ministers joining us today, and it's pretty frustrating, to sit around the table at an FPT and only talk about and fight and complain about how to divvy up the pie. And there is a real desire to talk about growing the pie, not just at the federal level, but within the provinces. And so that's what's led us here today. But it's the end of the day. It's not the end of hope. I don't know if Andrew Coyne's still here, but I hope this is the start of something, not the end of something. We've had the opportunity to connect with people across the country today who come from different vocations, industries, and skill sets. We've obviously heard a lot about productivity today. What I found so valuable about what we heard are the different perspectives about this national problem and how we should address it. This summit is a great opportunity for a broad-based discussion on a topic that affects all Canadians. And before we leave today, I'd like to speak a bit about what we're seeing as a government, why we see this kind of larger discussion about productivity as key to finding solutions, and what we're hoping to get out of today and future discussions that will follow, because we don't view this summit as an isolated event. When I talk to Albertans about what matters most to them, they often tell me they're concerned about their ability to provide for themselves or their family. Canadians worry about being able to afford food, shelter, and other necessities. They worry about opportunities for their children and grandchildren. The March speech from Carolyn Rogers, been discussed many times today, highlighted the productivity crisis in Canada. I'd just like to read one line from it, and you've heard it today. You've seen those signs that say an emergency break glass. Well, it's time to break the glass. I firmly believe that every provincial government and each of the federal parties want to increase prosperity for Canadians. The purpose of this summit, and the reason why I asked my department at Alberta Treasury Board and Finance to sponsor it, is that prosperity has consistently been threatened by Canada's lagging productivity and a lack of action directed towards sustained long-term economic growth. As we heard today, we know that Canadian productivity has fallen behind competitor nations in recent decades, and that trend is worsening. In 1984, the average Canadian worker was producing 88% of what the average U.S. worker was per hour. By 2022, Canadian productivity had fallen to 71% of the U.S. This is a problem for all of Canada, Alberta included. This is not an issue that one level of government or one particular government can solve, but rather one that, like so many of the largest challenges facing Canadians, will require action from all sectors. Here in Alberta, our productivity level remains relatively high, I guess. We're the fastest skater on a slow team. But growth has slowed significantly since 2014, in tandem with challenges like lower energy prices, limited ways to get our products to market, regulatory hurdles, policy uncertainty, and the introduction of various federal policies that unfairly target the energy sector and are holding back business investment in our province. We've seen some lessening of these challenges recently with the startup of the Trans Mountain expansion, but it will not resolve the problem, and many of the other contributors to our slowing productivity remain. When we announced this summit back in July, I spoke about how increasing productivity will solve many problems. And then after Dr. Trevor Toome with the School of Public Policy, whom you've heard from today, went up and explained it better. So I hope you all listened to what he said. But increasing productivity means higher wages for workers, better profits for businesses, more economic growth, and greater prosperity for Canadians. In short, it should be the single most important goal of any economic policy development. I know there are journalists here in the room and some former journalists as well. Andrew Coyne with the Globe and Mail gave an insightful keynote earlier on the problem. I think the shared problem that the media have with governments and the private sector is explaining why productivity is important and that we are not asking people to work even harder. The Premier's comments this morning illustrated the benefits productivity have had on agriculture and our energy sector, and I can attest to that as a farmer and rancher myself. Canadians are smart, and I think one of our primary goals should be showing them that improved productivity is better for them. And I'm glad to see that there were sessions today on that very topic. As a province, we're working hard to make sure our policies are part of the solution. We're keeping our taxes low, reducing red tape, investing in infrastructure, and supporting skills development. But what results have these policy and fiscal strategies had? We've attracted significant investments in our non-traditional sectors. In fact, investment by industries outside of oil and gas extraction is forecast to reach $54 billion by 2027. As the Premier mentioned, that includes companies like de Havilland, which plans to construct a new aircraft manufacturing facility near Calgary. McCain Foods is injecting $600 million into expanding its potato processing facility in southern Alberta. Dairy Innovation West has broken ground on a new $70 million milk concentration plant near Blackfalds, and Mondi Group has acquired the Hinton Pulp Mill with the intention of constructing more than $500 million expansion. Perhaps shockingly to some of you, Calgary was recently found to have the fastest growing tech sector in North America by CBRE. And at a time when we need accelerated adoption of technology and innovation, that is a welcome sign for productivity. Those are just a few examples of the progress Alberta is seeing. Our energy sector has always been a major driver of that productivity. In 2023, labor productivity in Canada was just under $200 per hour. But for non-conventional oil, labor productivity is even higher, at nearly $580 per hour. As Trevor Toome has found, labor productivity between 2015 and 2023 grew by 0.4% per year. For the oil sands, labor productivity growth averaged 4 times that. He also found that without the resource sector, Canada's economy would be nearly $150 billion per year smaller, equating to $3,700 per Canadian in lost income. As a rural Albertan, it's not lost on me that many of the most productive industries in our economy are primarily based in rural areas, and finding ways to increase productivity in rural areas across Canada will lead to increased productivity overall. That can mean expanded infrastructure, broadband access, and more. Now, as we consider this productivity more broadly, the question is what more can we do? Where are the gaps and where are the opportunities? As I've already said, Alberta can't address this issue alone because, as we all know, it's a problem that's affecting all of us right across the country. It is truly an all-hands-on-deck situation. So I want to thank everyone who recognized that and took the time to participate in this summit and help find real, tangible solutions. I'm particularly pleased that several of my cabinet colleagues have taken part, along with my counterparts from other provinces. I'd like to thank my Minister of Finance colleagues, the Honourable Carolyn Wozniak from the Northwest Territories, the Honourable Siobhan Cody from Newfoundland and Labrador, the Honourable Jill Burge from PEI, and the Honourable Lauren Kasugak from Nunavut for attending. Corey Deagle, Minister of Economic Development, Investment and Trade from Prince Edward Island, is also here. I'd like to extend my thanks and gratitude to him as well. This is an issue that affects our territorial partners and our East Coast partners, and your collaboration and insights are invaluable. My Alberta Cabinet colleagues, Matt Jones, Rajan Sawhney, Pete Guthrie, RJ Sigurdsson, Todd Lowen, Nathan Neudorf, and Rick Wilson have my thanks for attending. Your knowledge is key to develop solutions to our productivity challenges. I should also highlight MLA Chantel de Jong is here, I know, as well. I'd also like to thank Alberta NDP MLAs, Cord Ellingston, Nathan Ip, Sharif Haji, and Rhiannon Hoyle for attending. We don't agree on many things, like whether blue is a better color than orange, but we all understand that this is a crisis that faces all Albertans and all Canadians. Your willingness to be here shows you take this issue seriously and are willing to sit down and actually do something about it. Each and every province in Canada is facing challenges, providing the needed number of staff in our healthcare system. It's not isolated on one jurisdiction in Canada or even in North America. Increasing productivity in our healthcare system can mean that our healthcare staff, for whom every single minute they are on shift is of utmost importance, can see more patients, can provide them better care, and get them home faster. And that's good for everyone. And that's important because as a country, we need to work smarter, find more efficient and effective ways to produce goods and services, and produce higher value-added products and services that are worth more in the marketplace. We have all heard it today. This is not about working more or working harder. It's about working smarter. And at its heart, productivity is about maximizing our potential and improving the standard of living for all Canadians. And this summit is about maximizing our potential to find solutions. Each and every person in the room, every person taking part online can be part of that answer. We do have the opportunity to do something great here. We have spent today listening to each other, and my hope for tomorrow and beyond that is that we learn from each other, we contribute, we debate, we start to carve a path forward, and we take action. Because I would like all of us to be able to take ideas that come out of this summit and find ways we can incorporate them into our economic future. Because it's not just in Alberta's economy where enhanced productivity can provide additional benefit, but in every corner of this country. To conclude, I would like to commend the University of Calgary School of Public Policy for hosting this important summit. Thank you for bringing everyone together. Thank you to everyone who came here today in person, and of course those who are taking part online. It's been a great day, but we're not done yet. There are a lot of good sessions tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to continuing to connect with all of you and to seeing what productive, innovative ideas come out of this summit. Before I go, I invite all of you, whether in business, government, nonprofit, academia, or the general public, to put these ideas into action. That sounds like a great idea to me. Thank you all very much.